About an hour ago, moistcritikal, aka Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, dropped a video about his worst problem with anime. And he's right. But I'm not sure he realizes how right he is. In this video, I'm going to explain why anime is so fixated on high school, and sometimes middle school. Furthermore, I'll be avoiding the more perverse aspects of this topic, as that's a whole other can of worms, but I do believe there are reasons outside of that that cause anime to be so focused on school, and it's honestly something that's interested me for a while, and is a perfect time to make a video on it. And this all has to do with Japanese work culture. Let's get into it. Working in Japan sucks. While they have a lot more financial security than we have here in the States, the trade-off is that workers are expected to work inhumane hours a lot of the time. And while the exact numbers vary from industry to industry, let's look at the most relevant industry for this topic: anime. It's common knowledge these days that working at an anime studio is not dissimilar to working in a sweatshop. The pay is atrociously bad, and most animators are paid not hourly, but for each drawing they make. While each studio is different, studies have shown that the average payment for a single drawing is the equivalent of $2. $2 for a drawing that usually takes an hour or much more. That is insane. And while this is partly why most anime looks absolutely terrible, the bigger repercussions is that animators have to work inhumane hours just to barely make a living, if they're even able to do that. The anime industry has a terrible structure, which is why the studios don't make any money and don't pay their workers. But this problem extends to other industries. The work culture in Japan is honestly a toxic mess, with loyalty to the company transforming into working overtime damn near every night. You are, especially if you're young, expected to do that. And while it's not mandated because the laws prevent that, if you don't accept that reality, you will be looked down upon by society. Something that Japanese people take much more seriously than a country like America due to, again, cultural differences. Even when you have time off, much of it is spent going out drinking with coworkers, of which you're also basically forced into doing and nobody really enjoys. This is why Japan has seen such an insane rise of shut-ins, better known as hikikomoris. If you're familiar with the game of Mori, hey, that's where Omocat got the title from. Estimates guess that there are around 2 million hikikomori in Japan, with that number projected to keep rapidly increasing. Much of this is due to the insane levels of pressure and stress these people are under. Becoming a shut-in is not even the worst outcome of that. Kiroshi is a Japanese word which literally translates to death from overwork. Let me repeat that. They have an actual word for dying from working too much. And this can sometimes extend even to high schoolers. If you're a fan of anime, you'll know that the roofs are fenced in. And the reason for this is almost certainly because the suicide rates, even for students, are so high in Japan. I would theorize that this is due to the social culture of Japan, of which is directly and innately tied to its work life. And while this pressure is still present throughout all of a Japanese person's school life, aside from, funnily enough, university, students at least usually have strong social relationships to fall back on, which are sadly rare for adults in the workforce in Japan. So I would say that being a student is still better much of the time. Now, why have I been rambling about this for so long? Well, it's to show that being an adult in Japan, well, it kind of sucks. Not even just the work life, but again, it's also low-key kind of rare to make friends outside of that workplace. And it's borderline looked down upon, at least according to my Japanese culture teacher. And she's a good person, I'll trust her on this one. The majority of seinen anime is aimed towards adults like this, stuff like K-On!, and I would have to assume focuses so much on being at school because, well, that's when the creators were actually happy, which is just goddamn depressing. Or conversely, if they were particularly unpopular at school, then they might use their craft as a sort of wish fulfillment, almost getting to have that ideal high school life they always wanted. Or perhaps just reflect on their experiences, as is the case with Wataru Watari. The creator of My Teen Romantic Comedy is wrong, as I expected. Some of the best literature to ever come out of Japan, and I will die on that hill, especially because it's Yukino's birthday today. Now, a lot of anime isn't targeted at adults, particularly the shonen and shoujo demographics, but they're usually all still kids. Charlie's prime example of Tokyo Revengers is a shonen anime, so why don't they focus on adults? Well, no teenage boy or girl wants to watch a bunch of old people deal with work problems. Plain and simple. They just can't relate to them. So, to answer the question, why is the vast majority of anime focused on middle and high school? And this has three reasons as I see it. 1. The adults who watch anime had a good time in school and are now having such a bad time working that they need an escapist story that focuses on a time in their lives when they were happy. 2. This same demographic facing the same issues can't even fall back on good high school memories, so they need to fabricate them as their escapist fantasy. 3. The other main demographics for anime, shonen, and shoujo are targeted towards teenage boys and girls and feature characters, settings, and storylines that they can relate to. So basically, life either sucks or you're a kid who doesn't yet realize that. And I don't want this video to just be ripping on Japanese culture, because I love so many different aspects of that culture, and it's probably the one I'm the most interested in. I also recognize that a lot of these problems of overworking are starting to become a global phenomenon and not just exclusive to Japan. So that's fun to see. That all being said, however, Japan currently has a very specific problem and has had it for a long time. One that has led to its primary escapist medium, anime, being so heavily dominated by shows about high schoolers, or about literally just getting yeeted out of this reality to a new, better one, where success is directly attributed to one's own work and skill. But that's a different topic for a different day. For now, we'll leave it at this. Work life just kind of sucks. And, as always, thank you for watching.